Hello there, and welcome to a new devlog about a medieval village building game I'm developing using my own game engine. I've been working on this project for almost a year by now, and it's been a rough year, but the game is still coming along rather nicely. In the previous episode I was talking about how I redesigned the visuals of the game, from this to this, and honestly since then I've spent a lot of time just looking at it and feeling happy about how it turned out. Though a lot of people commented that the new campfire doesn't really match the game, and actually I completely agree. Some people even said that they miss the old thick blobby flame, which I cannot agree with. I think the new fire is much better. Anyway, I tried to tweak it by decreasing the noise frequency and replacing a color gradient with a fixed color palette, and now I think it fits the game's style quite well. I also had some inspiration to redesign the smoke particles, and after a lot of playing with shaders I ended up with this. Yet again, I think it's a step in the right direction, but I'm still not entirely satisfied with it. Let me know in the comments what you think about this new smoke shader. So after this big redesign, it was finally the time to add some actual content to the game. My current plan is to make something like a small demo of the game, which will still showcase most of the important early game mechanics. There are basically two big mechanics I need right now: constructing houses for the villagers and farming food. I decided to start with the houses, because it's weird to be farming stuff while not having a place to live. I started by adding a wattle panel item, which can be crafted from sticks and can be used to build simple wattle fences. This might sound like a weird choice, but wattle panels will turn out to be very important in the next devlog. Right now you have to cut down a tree to gather sticks from it, but in the future I'll definitely add the way to grab sticks without falling a tree. Then I went on to wooden walls made from logs. I already have the logs resource, so I only had to implement the AI part of the construction process. As you can see, I've settled on these simple vector graphics indicators to show that this is some sort of a task or a build site. Naturally, I can click on it and the widget on the left side of the screen tells me what it is. As you can see, there are several tree species in the game, but right now I don't have any way to specify which wood type I want to use when building. So I implemented that, and a similar thing for the workstation tasks. For example, when making wattle panels you can now select a specific wood type. The idea is that wood types differ in their properties and appearance. For example, birch is the best sort of firewood, while spruce is great for building, that sort of thing. I also really like the idea that having different types of materials would mean that your building style will be affected by the availability of certain resources, and by simply looking at a building you could guess where it comes from. I figured that, while placing walls, it would be nice to control where to put the vertical wooden beams, so I added this option as well, and I think it looks rather lovely. And since it can be a bit difficult to see the underlying terrain grid, I've added a simple grid shown around your current mouse location. I had the code for this grid for a very long time, but for some reason I've removed it in the past, and I don't really remember why I did that. Then I decided to add some variety and added a wooden plank resource to the game, together with plank fences and plank walls. These are meant to be kind of a luxury, because they require more work to be produced. By the way, currently I'm just reusing log splitting animation for making planks. I promise I'll add a proper animation later, and it will probably use a saw instead of an axe. I was just too lazy to do it right now. Oh, and if you've enjoyed the devlog so far, consider pressing a few buttons under the video. Right now this is the single best thing you can do to help me with developing the game. So, now that we have walls and fences, it would be nice to have some floors. I added two types of floors, a simple hay flooring and a nice wooden plank floor. You can actually rotate the floor tiles when constructing them, and this can be used to make some really nice patterns on your floors. You can even combine different wood materials and kind of paint some simple ornaments like that. Now, it's kind of stupid to build walls for a house without any way to get inside it, so we clearly need some doors. However, a door means there must be a hole in the wall mesh, and it's a little bit problematic given that I want to have a ton of different wall and door types. In my earlier prototypes I simply made two different meshes for the wall, one completely solid and one with a hole for the door. Unfortunately, this means that all doors will have to be of the same shape, because they have to fit into this hole, which is really dull. Also, just making these separate meshes for all wall types is really annoying. So, I decided to take a more systematic route and cut these holes procedurally when they are needed. I used this nice open source library called Manifold for that, and it pretty much worked perfectly for me. Now I only need to add a simple hole carving mesh for each type of a door, and everything works automatically. Using this mechanism, I've added doors and windows made of wattle and planks. The windows are purely decorative for now, but I do have some plans for them. Speaking of the doors, the villagers still don't know how to properly interact with them, so I added all the AI code for opening and closing doors instead of just passing through them. It's still not perfect, but I'd say it's definitely acceptable at this point in development. Then I had to take a break from development, partially because I'm now giving lectures on yet another course at the university. When I returned from the break, I decided to fix the stupid amount of UI and AI bugs that I had been neglecting previously and which were really getting in my way of testing the game. Mostly these were simple AI agent synchronization issues, but each of those took several days to debug and finally fix. What can I say, programming game AI is really hard. When I was finished, I decided to have a little treat and just add something nice to the game. Previously I had these simple flower models, but I've removed them at some point because they don't fit the game style anymore. So I took this cornflower model, redesigned it and made it spawn among the grass. I always love these little background additions and details in games. And well, that's it for today. The progress is a bit slower than I would want it to be, but it is still progress. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.